This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Welcome to Make Some Noise Podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go. Bea, welcome to Leo season.
Leo season is the bestest season, and you are the bestest. And so I'm so delighted to be here with you.
This is airing, I believe, in Virgo season, but we're recording it in Leo season.
Leo season's actually year round. I just
okay, it is.
To know.
Of course, Leo would say that. Yes,
it's the vibe of forever. And you're welcome. So back to my hair. This episode's about my Leo's hair, right?
Which no one can see because we don't release the video. I know. Well, everyone, you are on the right podcast. This is not an astrology podcast. I haven't moved over, although I am eyeball deep in learning more about astrology, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're having you back, and you were on recently talking about your amazing book, which tell us the whole title of the book.
The book is called End Emotional Outsourcing: How to Overcome Your Codependent, Perfectionist, and People-Pleasing Habits.
Thank you. I didn't have the
reading
title in front of me, and I know subtitles are important.
Yeah, thank you.
And emotional outsourcing. Well, I love this topic, and the reason that I wanted to have you on to do a part 2 so quickly is because when we stopped recording last time, I asked you a question just from my own personal curiosity, and I said something to the effect of, hey, does emotional outsourcing impact or affect people negatively when it comes to sex and their sexuality? And you gasped and said yes.
With delight, because I love talking about it.
And I was like, dang it, we didn't record any of that. So then I invited you to come on again. And then we're going to get into something deeper and a little more political, if I can use that word, probably about halfway through. But first, I want to start, let's start with the 1, 2, 3s before we get too excited. You talk a lot about nervous system regulation in your work. So how does dysregulation show up in our sex lives? And if you remember the second part of the question, fantastic. If not, I'll remind you. But what does a regulated, safe connection to sexuality even look like?
Great. So let's start with defining regulation real quick, right? So your nervous system has 2 main jobs: keep you safe and help you connect. So when your nervous system is regulated, it is in ventral vagal, the safe and social part of the autonomic nervous system most of the time, leaving as necessary to respond to the world, but coming back home to self.
Okay.
So when you regulate, you feel present, grounded, you can respond instead of reacting. You're here and now, in the here and now with what is here and now. You're not in the past. You're not in a trauma response, in stress, in distress. You're here. When you are dysregulated, you're revved up, right? Racing thoughts, tight chest, can't sit still, or you're shut down in that foggy, numb, disconnected part. And your brain and your body are in survival mode.
Okay.
Right. That's where rumination lives. That's where second guessing ourselves, putting others ahead of us. That's where emotional outsourcing lives.
Okay. Does dysregulation, quick question on that. So you said we're also not living in the past, but dysregulation can also look like future tripping and worrying about the future, but it's always based on the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like this one time in 3rd grade, somebody told me I was too much, and then they didn't want to be my friend. And so then for the next 40 years, I'm carrying this story that I'm too much, both in life and in bed. And so I need to be less so people won't abandon me, reject me, leave me.
So I'll be liked more.
Right.
Okay. Can you talk about the role of trauma, especially what you just mentioned, that little anecdote of 3rd grade, developmental trauma or even chronic stress in shaping how we show up sexually?
Absolutely. So when I think about emotional outsourcing, should I redefine that term? I mean, everyone listened to the last episode, but just in case.
I think maybe just clarify let's kind of go back to the first question. What would emotional outsourcing look like in a sexual relationship, like with a partner, where they're kind of dysregulated?
Okay. So emotional outsourcing is my term for codependent, perfectionist, and people-pleasing habits, as per the title of the book. And when you've built your sense of safety, belonging, worth, the vital human needs around being chosen, desired, or approved of by others, especially romantic partners, sexual partners, your sexuality becomes, I was going to say less about, but it becomes no part about your own felt sense.
Right.
It becomes about performance, about appeasement, about approval, about fawning,
pleasing
about them. Right. It is, are you even in the room?
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of people, especially human socialized as women, would be like, no, girl. Right. And so when you said when you're with a partner, but I'm like, are we even in the room when we're just having sex with ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, are we in the room? Right. Because early on, particularly if we grow up in a household where there's a lot of emotional outsourcing, when that's what's modeled, that's the norm, we learn to prioritize everyone else's everything, emotions, needs, preferences. Everyone's everything is more important than our own. And so, of course, it comes into the bedroom.
Yeah.
Of course, you're not regulated. You're not present. You're not calm because you're telling this story. I have to gain their approval in every single moment or I'm going to be abandoned. And because I don't know who I am without that external mirror, I have no grounded, embodied sense of self and authenticity in self. I must have them to have this sort of to exist in a way, if that makes sense, right? Because my existence is based on their notion of me. And so in the bedroom, instead of being like, here's what I like, right? It becomes, are they happy with this? Do they still want me? Am I too fat? Am I too thin? Am I doing this right? Do I smell good? Do I smell bad? Do I meow, 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 meow? But all about them instead of actually being embodied.
Okay. I want to pause for a second and kind of back up because here's how I look. This is why this topic became so curious for me and why I wanted you to come back on, because in my own journey, sex is loaded and you know and at the same time, like feel like I've had really great sexual relationships with particular partners, but I've also had vastly different sexual relationships with long-term partners. So I'm connecting the dots. Like, well, if I'm the common denominator here, like what is going on? Right. So there's that part of it. And then also I'm someone who has worked a ton on my communication with other people, especially in my romantic relationships. Like I can't control the other person, unfortunately, but how can I show up and try to more or less control everything from the words that I'm saying, what I'm curious about, how present I am, my tone, the goal of the conversation, all of the nuances that go into healthy communication, right? And I feel like, not to toot my own horn, but like I've got that down. But then sex is this other thing that we can, yes, do by ourselves for sure, and that we do with a partner. And I was like, oh, this is similar to having a conversation, but it's loaded differently. And it's very emotional. That's the part I didn't realize, I think, until I was like in my second long-term relationship, in my second marriage. I was like, oh, sex is a lot more. It's more than just an act of connection. Like it is loaded with emotions. And that's why when I heard about that you're writing this book, I was like, okay, I'm curious about this.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people who are really deep in emotional outsourcing, they don't experience the being loaded with emotions. Right? Because if we're in that sort of functional freeze, which is that mixed state where we have one foot on the gas in sympathetic activation, fight or flight, adrenaline, worried, freaked out, and one foot on the brake, dorsal, checked out, disconnected. Wait, what? That combination, the lights are on, but nobody's home, is how we parent, how we are a friend, how we are parented, how we are a worker, and how we have sex, and how we're a partner. Right? We always send the thank you card because of course you do. We bring a hostess gift, but we're not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you going to have sexual preferences? How are you going to actually be there? So that emotional piece that you're connecting to, that I think is so vital, can also be just no, but what?
Yeah. Well, okay. So then that makes me, when you say we're not in the room, can you paint a picture of
Oof.
what that looks like? So, like, let's start with just self-pleasure. What might
Yeah.
that look like if someone is literally in their own bedroom, doors closed, they're having privacy, and they are in a practice of self-pleasure, but they're not in the room? What does that mean?
Like literally not being present. So it being
Mhm.
a really mechanical act, like
Okay.
whether you're using your hand or a vibrator or something else, like not being actually present to the sensation. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong with fantasy when you are conscious of the fact that you are using it as a tool.
Right.
But when you are literally so outside of your own reality chronically during sex, because you don't have the capacity to be present,
Hmm.
which is not a dig. It's just like, okay, that's where you're at, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. When
Okay.
you're so lost in it, or you need porn because you
Hmm.
can't just be present to the sensation,
Yeah.
right? And
Okay.
and let me just say it again, it's not a dig. It's that can just be the end result of trauma, especially if your body was the site of trauma, right?
Right. Or
Especially if you
especially
went
if
through.
someone has sexual trauma.
Exactly, right.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're talking, because I have an idea of what I think it might look like for someone to sort of work through this, or work on working through it, and they find themselves more quote unquote present
Yeah.
during a sexual act. So you mentioned that might look like actually leaning into how even just like a touch across their arm might feel, like the pleasure of that. So is that an example of like what being present is?
Yeah,
Okay, what else?
absolutely. I mean, it really needs to. So let's sort of put this into sort of two categories. One, if you have a history of sexual trauma, your body was the site of trauma. And that's why being checked in during sex is a no go.
Yeah.
Please work with a trauma therapist. My training is in somatic experiencing, work with a somatic experiencing practitioner like myself, a well trained someone who works with PTSD,
That's their niche. Yeah.
CPTSD, EMDR. Go to there,
Hmm.
please, first and foremost, and then work with them to bring in the following kinds of suggestions.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you
great.
for that
Safety
preface. Yeah.
first. Always,
Hmm.
always, 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 always. Your girl's a nurse at the end of the day, right? Like, come on now. I am many things, but a nurse practitioner as well. So listen, we go slow, we go slow, we go slow. Trauma is too much too quickly or not enough when it was needed.
Okay. Too much too quickly or not enough when it was needed.
Yeah.
Not enough safety, not enough
Safety, attunement, love, care, understanding, being
words.
seen, being heard, words, petting. They're like,
Coping
oh,
skills.
honey,
Yeah.
you fell off the monkey bars.
Mm.
Oh, baby. Oh, man, you scuffed your little paws. Oh, no.
That's
Right. Not enough of
terrible.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love you. Your body's safe now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not enough of that. Yeah. And
Mm.
so we've got to go wicked slowly, particularly if we go into dorsal, into that checkout, into that. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not here. I'm not, I'm not, I'm not, I'm right. Because at the end of that is I am not. It's not only that you're not there, you're just not.
Mm.
And so to bring the being back into being it's a delicate, slow little dance because the alternative is triggering that effing F out of yourself. Right. And then you're super triggered and everything sucks. And then you're in bed for 3 days and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so we go slowly bringing in and building up our capacity to be with sensation at all. I'm not talking about sexual sensation,
Hmm.
genital sensation, romantic sensation, making out, even not even holding hands. I'm talking about feeling your hot cup of coffee and pausing and feeling your feet on the floor
Yeah.
and the cup in your hand and feeling its weight and the heat and giving yourself 2 seconds and then basta. That's enough. Moving on. And then you do 3 seconds tomorrow. But like, yo, we're talking slow like that.
Hmm.
Right? Because that's what the nervous system needs. Right. So it's
Yeah.
titration. right?
Okay.
We need to titrate it and go slowly. One of the things can be really useful is a tool we use in somatic experiencing called pendulation, which is like how we swing a pendulum, and you go from what on one extreme we have what is the most safest, the most regulating, the most loving, the most like the easy warm win. And on the other side, on the other extreme, is the thing that's like holy F, like super bad, right? Like super intense, super trauma, right? Or like big sensation, scary sensation, intense sensation, whatever it is you're working with. And so we'll start by really grounding the nervous system in nice, right? Like in your safe place, in your like snuggling your pets, or you know what I mean? Whatever. And then move towards feeling a sensation or having an experience that is a little more challenging for the nervous system. We'll walk like half a centimeter towards it and come back to nice. And just let that sort of pendulum swing towards what's challenging, and then grounding the nervous system in nice and gentle and sweet and good, so that we start to create this new, it's like Pavlov, right? It's a new story in the brain. I can be with what's scary and what sucks because, oh, wait, now it's nice again.
Yeah.
I can go there because it's nice again. And that slow process really can be helpful. And so, again, with the coffee cup, just do a few little seconds.
I love that. It reminds me of, I worked with a somatic practitioner, and I actually had her on my show, Jessica Clark Graham. And what she had me work on, I'll be real transparent with y'all. I was struggling with specifically masturbation and direct contact with my hand directly on the skin of my vulva and clitoris. And truly, like, that started just because it was so sensitive, like still nipples, clitoris, holy shit. Like, I'm not the type who's like can be pinched or like it's like it feels like I'm being electrocuted. And so super sensitive. So that's where, and her assignments to me were the slowest, like centimeter by centimeter, and it was always by myself. And, using things like lube and in the shower, like where I was more relaxed and things like that. And that was hugely helpful because I'm usually not a person who likes to do things slow. Like I'm just like, let's just go big or go home. Like what do we got to do? And so I was so grateful that her insistence was like, try this and then report back. And, don't ever do anything that feels like, if it feels uncomfortable, just don't do it. You don't need to. And that moved mountains for me.
It's incredible because what we're doing in that moment is reminding our body that it matters. And that seems so banal, but we get so wrapped up in emotional outsourcing and living our lives for others and all these patterns that put us last. And so when you slow down, like she had you do, and listen to your body. And I love that she said, if it doesn't feel good, stop.
Do it.
Nope, not interested, not available.
Yeah.
Because that's what really starts to change the tape. Right? It's like, oh, I don't have to do this. I have agency. And that's one of the big things we lose. You want, like, within living under systems of oppression, right? Under the patriarchy, white settler colonialism, and late stage capitalism, which are all part and parcel of emotional outsourcing.
Yeah.
Right. We lose that sense, that locus of agency within ourselves. And so we have sex for other people.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like it's not that we ever even lost it. It's like that we never had it in the first place.
Sure. I guess, right. I hear you. I guess I mean, like, we were born with it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. But sure, within a millisecond. Right. Boom.
No, and
it's
it's
a
like
girl
somewhere in
gone.
childhood.
Right.
Yes, we're taught, whether it's explicitly or implicitly.
Right.
Okay. We need to take a quick ad break. And when we get back, we're going to get closer to talking about sexuality and fascism. So we'll be right back.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com designed for every team. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free.
This show is sponsored by MIDI Health. Listen, there are times in life when we practice acceptance. I talk about it all the time here on the show. We let things go, we breathe through it, we rise above. But menopause? not one of those times. If you're in perimenopause or menopause and something feels off in your body and you're being told you're too young, it's just stress, or your symptoms are normal, don't let them tell you that. If your hair is thinning, your sleep is not okay, your mood is on a roller coaster and someone just shrugs it off, don't let them. If hot flashes are hijacking your life or it's taking months or years to get real answers, don't let them. You deserve actual care, not dismissal or gaslighting, and no outdated information from a system that was never built with midlife women in mind in the first place. That's why I love what MIDI Health is doing. They're a virtual clinic created by women for women, specializing in midlife hormonal transitions. They personalize treatment, offer FDA-approved hormonal and non-hormonal options, and they're available 24/7. And yes, they take insurance. This is about advocating for yourself. This is about better care, period. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
All right, we're back. I want to ask you, what does reclaiming our sexuality look like when we stop outsourcing our emotional safety to others?
Yeah. So when other people are in charge of our sexuality, right, or any part of our experience of life, safety becomes conditional.
Okay.
Right. It depends on being desirable to others, palatable for them, performative towards someone else. Like sexuality gets twisted into a tool for survival. And so for many of us, that has looked like dissociating during sex, collapsing into performative pleasure, overriding our no, until our bodies are like, you know what? I'm going to save the energy and stop telling this fool no, because she's not listening. Right.
Yeah.
And, it also looks like confusing people pleasing with desire. Right. They're really into this, so they must be pleased. So I must also want it. Right. And so reclaiming our safety within our own body allows us to step back into knowing what we want, and knowing what we want allows us to step back into feeling safe within our own body, which allows us to then say, nah, I'm not interested in that, but I am interested in this, right? Because if listen, this whole, you don't need to care what other people think about you thing is not exactly based in
That's
science.
not my favorite either. Yeah.
I find it really annoying because we are mammals.
It's just not black and white. Yeah.
I mean, listen, we are mammals. What other people think about us does matter. And like, you and I are out here talking about community all day.
Right.
Right. So like, be a loving, kind member of your community. What your community thinks of you does matter. And it need not matter more than what you think of you. Right. And that's the balance. And you're right. That's the nuance that gets completely lost. And so we need to find the middle ground between giving our safety away to others in bed or in the boardroom or anywhere else. Right. So we can stop dissociating during sex or a board meeting or anywhere else. And we can feel safe enough within ourselves so that if one person doesn't like us or doesn't approve of how we want to have sex or what we like or what our pleasures are, that's cool.
It won't take us down and out.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, buddy. Guess you're not for me. Smell you later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Right?
is which we can make jokes about it. And that is also terrifying though. Like the first time that happens
And the 14th.
and the 14th time where
Right.
we are rejected because of our no or because of our wanting to negotiate.
Right. But what we need to remember is that we're auto rejecting.
Mm-hmm.
We're so scared of them rejecting us. We're auto rejecting. Right. And we're both Latinas. We know what happens when you get an auto goal. That's not going to go over well. Right. Football jokes, people. Right. Don't auto reject.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cast you aside in favor of them liking you.
Yeah. Because I can tell everybody what ends up happening is that you're, like you said before the break, your body will shut down eventually. It might happen in a week. It might happen in 7 years.
Right.
But that will eventually start to break down. It did for me.
Yeah. Of course. And so what we need to like reclaim that internal safety is to build internal scaffolding.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that by asking, what do I actually want? Stay with me for lunch. What turns me on in terms of movies? What makes me feel alive for exercise?
Mm-hmm.
If sex is a stressful place, pleasure is a stressful place, don't forget about it.
Don't start
Don't
there.
work with it. Don't you dare.
Mm-hmm.
How many accents have I had in the life?
I think this is only the third.
Oh, okay.
So you're
great.
just getting started. Okay.
Do you want my Irish?
I'm
not going to do my Irish. I feel
okay.
Anyway, so if asking those kinds of questions about sex is going to freak you out, don't you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. Ask, what do I actually want on my popcorn?
What do I want to do for my birthday?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Go as low stakes as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Because the lower the stakes, the more able you are to hear the answers without going into activation within your nervous system, without getting dysregulated. And you can stay at home, calm and cozy, in ventrovagal, the safe and social part of the nervous system. Then you can actually hear it. And then you can actually expand your window of capacity in your nervous system. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
And I want to just touch on it before we move into the next topic, because I feel like, I mean, at least I've sort of danced around. We're having this conversation about sex and we've talked about, self-pleasure, but a lot of sex happens with a partner.
Sure.
And these things are like, for example, the saying no or saying us, for what we want, which might be different than what our partner has thought we wanted. That is all, our safety is dependent on the relationship that we have with that other person. So if someone's in a relationship where they don't feel seen and heard in other areas of their relationship, where they don't feel like their partner has the emotional depth that they would like, or that they have, that I think is, and tell me if you agree or disagree, like it's important to start there outside of the bedroom.
Well,
is that fair?
I think it's part and parcel. So I would do some important work looking at your relationship while also reclaiming your popcorn.
Okay.
Right.
Tell us
like
what that might look like.
Yeah. So I was in a really shitty marriage with someone I had no interest in having sex with. I actually wasn't really attracted to them at all, which I surprised myself by talking about in the book. But the answer would not have been, because they were not a safe person, they were abusive, would not have been to try to work on sexual relationship with them, because I tried and it went absolutely nowhere, because they would just gaslight and manipulate and go into narcissistic habits, and make it all my fault. The really typical narcissistic gaslighty BS.
Yeah. And
so trying to work on our sexuality together with them was beyond a dead end. It was harmful to my sense of self, harmful to my body, harmful to my self-esteem, harmful in every way. And so I started doing the work to get curious about why I was in the relationship, what it was doing for me, what survival skills it was feeding, all of that, like asking those questions of why it wasn't safe to have sex with that person, or why I had absolutely no interest or was like kind of repulsed by them, and like what the hell was going on there, while also going to 5 rhythm stance and doing somatic practices and becoming a breathwork meditation facilitator and working with plant medicine and like doing the other things in my own life individual from them. I don't know that that was English, but like, you know, you get it. Más o menos. So that I could build my own somatic self, so that when I had the capacity, the skills, the everything to be able to leave, I left somatically connected with me and could step into a broader vision of my own sexuality and my own capacity and wants and needs and desires and pleasure, not beholden to them.
Right.
Right. And not having nothing at all to do with them, in fact.
And especially not doing all that work for them.
Oh my God. Right. Because that would have, been beyond useless.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I may, like that,
Please.
doing that work while you were in your relationship, which ultimately I'm sure was part of what gave you the courage to walk away
100%.
and then have the better relationship with yourself. And then that guided you to meet someone new that could match and meet you where you were.
100%.
Yeah. Same story over here.
I know. Isn't it amazing? I know. I love that we're both so in love. I remember when you met your mister and you like hollered at me. You're like, I met somebody.
I met a good one.
I met a good one for a change.
Yeah, good straight cis guy. Like
Dude.
who knew? There's
He's
a few
handsome, everybody.
He is handsome. I know he looks like a cop, but he's actually like progressive and a feminist. All right. But I wanted to that point, I just want to emphasize something that you said. And that's what the advice that I give people when they ask me, like, what if I'm in a partnership with someone who's just not interested in personal growth? And more or less what they're explaining is like, I feel like we're growing apart and I'm moving away from my partner and I don't want to. I want them to come with me. And so my advice is always keep working on yourself. The part I don't say is that eventually you will get to a point where you have done enough work on yourself where two things are going to happen. You will see how much distance you've put in between you and them, and you will have the courage to trust yourself enough, that voice that's telling you it's time to go. I know because I have done it. And I have stayed and begged and pleaded with myself to stay far longer than I should have. Yeah. But yeah. And then and if you want to, then my wish for that person listening to this who needed to hear it is that they will eventually find someone who matches them emotionally. And that matters.
It so matters.
It's a big difference.
It so matters. It so matters. My wife and I were just traveling for 3 weeks and we fought, let me count, 0 times.
Yeah.
0 times because we just don't. Right? Because we have done all this deep work to profoundly value what we have. And no one's getting mad about trivialities around here. No one's bringing up egos. There is no hill that I would like to die on. Right? I just, okay, baby, sure. Yeah. And not like, just to be clear here, not in a like abandoning self kind of way, but in a like, you know what? That's fine. That's great.
If you need to have a tantrum because you're way overtired, you can do that as long as it doesn't, mean a lot of heavy lifting on my end. I'll take care of you as I. Okay. Yeah.
But this is to make this applicable to you, dear listener. This is that somatic work, that nervous system work to step out of emotional outsourcing, to step into your power, not just in sexuality, but every area of your life, your communication, like you brought up, Andrea, like in every area of life, so that you can show up as who you want to be and can call in the person whose grump gives you giggles, whose grump is so cute to you, you can barely handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, because we could have a whole other podcast episode for that. And I think
I'm available.
Just to speak to that before I ask you the question about fascism.
Okay, great.
Is that here's what I realized that I did is that because I wasn't meaning to meet someone new, I certainly wasn't meaning to fall in love, but yet here I am.
Here we are.
I realized I subconsciously called him in from that I'm 50 now, but then my 49-year-old evolved self, where previously I had been calling in partners from my wounded younger self that was really committed to emotional outsourcing. All of them. Even the person I met when I was 31, I called him in from my 17-year-old self.
Oh yeah. Reenactment is a really, really serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
it's in chapter 2 or 3 of the book.
Okay.
Right. So it's when reenactment is when we unconsciously repeat past relational dynamics, emotional patterns, trauma responses, because something in our nervous system hasn't been fully resolved.
Yeah.
And so, like those things aren't integrated into the psyche. So they're stuck in procedural memory systems. So like the how to be safe in the world part of the brain is holding on to it. And so, well, let's do it again. Let's do it again because it's not complete.
That's where I feel like plant medicine helped me. That last part that you talked about.
Well,
it was like the real integration and alchemizing of the emotions that I knew about in my head and had talked through them ad nauseum and had done a million worksheets and written 3 books about it. I was that good. And then it was plant medicine where I was finally like, it's almost as if the portal opened and the emotions were able to hit every cell in my body. Finally, I don't have any other way in the moment of explaining, like that's how it sounds. And then I kind of like came out of it and was like, oh, I'm done with that pattern. Like I truly am. I have divorced the pattern, not just 2 ex-husbands, but the pattern. Yeah. And here I am. And I'm not saying like this relationship is perfect and I know it's going to be forever, ever, and amen. And I tell him this and I'm like, I am committed and my hope is that we're very long term. But if we are not, I am still grateful for everything I've learned, how I've showed up, how you've showed up with me. Like a list 100 miles long of the things I'm grateful for because I'm able to show up as my full self. Anyway, another episode for another time, but I just kind of wanted to paint a picture of what these kind of theories are that we're mentioning might look like.
Right. And what we'll talk about on the next time. It's the default mode network, which is what was being shifted in your brain there.
Yeah. That's what gets shut off during psychedelic therapy, plant medicine. Yeah. Okay. We could geek out on that forever, but I do want to ask you, all right, because this is the thing that you said at the end that we didn't record that brought us to this episode is, and my question is, what do you mean when you say that fascism shows up in our relationship to sexuality?
Sure. So from book bans to anti-trans legislation, abortion restrictions, we are watching in real time far right's attempt to assert control over bodies, pleasure, and power. And we can talk about the cult of thinness in just a minute. So fascism thrives on rigid roles, right? Man, woman, straight, gay, parent, child, citizen, enemy. We're seeing that one play out a lot.
Good guy, bad guy.
Oh, yeah. So it feeds on the fantasies of like order and purity. Okay. Which is how we sort of get into the whole trad wife thing and we get into thinness culture, right? Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Yeah. Obviously you haven't had brownies if you're saying that. And so that means that anything fluid, liminal, non-normative,
non-definable
is a threat, like an existential threat to the nation state. Therefore, and because we are the nation, it's a threat to us. Okay. And so few things are more unruly, more personal, less governable, less understandable than human sexuality. Right. And so pleasure, queerness, gender expansiveness, they are embodied forms of resistance to control that disrupt the fascist fantasy that everyone should fall in line, reproduce the nation in a perfect white, blue-eyed way, and uphold white supremacist patriarchal standards without question. And so that, so they become targets. And then the state tries to tighten its grip on whose bodies are allowed to express desire, love, or autonomy in like a surveillance, discipline, power kind of way, but not in any of the sexy terms of discipline and power, and a really yucky one.
Like putting the 10 commandments up in classrooms and things like that.
Yeah, where kids can't spell so goodly to start with, but let's definitely spend money on the 10 commandments and Bibles, right? And not on neonatal mortality. And so all sexuality is inherently political. Joy is inherently political. Gender expression is political. And so when we're living under totalitarian and authoritarian fear, it trickles down, right, to where we feel less and less safe being the fullest expression of self.
Oh, okay. I see the through line.
Yeah. Right. And so we start to censor ourselves. Right. Because if you post anything against this regime, you're going to get questioned at the border.
Right.
Right. You're going to and so we start to censor ourselves. We start to censor ourselves interpersonally in what we talk about in the break room, what we talk about with first dates, what we talk about, right? We start consciously or subconsciously start to censor ourselves.
Just as a measure of safety.
Sure. Right. And that starts to trickle into every area of our lives. I'm from Argentina. My parents fled the dirty war and came to the US. Insert eye roll about where we are currently. Yeah. But it was a time where people were being ratted out left and right. Like you'd literally go to confession and then get disappeared the next day. It was not a safe place to have opinions, to have thoughts, to have feelings, to be your authentic self, because you never knew who was safe. I mean, it's a little like Salem witch trial, Goody Proctor, like who's going to turn you in and who's going to put the scarlet letter on your chest. And that's what they do, because una gente unida jamás será dividida, right? Like if we are together, we are invincible, and separated, all the little dominoes fall. And so if we can't talk to each other because we can't trust each other, they win.
Yeah.
Back to sex, how are you going to be authentic and vulnerable and open and real if you can't have basic trust?
Yeah.
Right. And so you fall in line.
That's
or
wild.
You resist.
Right. Okay. We need to take one more quick ad break. And when we get back, I want to talk about like how we create these little systems, like almost like mini fascists in our body. So we'll be right back, everybody.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
1 second, you're finally cleaning out the gutters. The next, the fire alarm blares from inside. Smoke billows out the kitchen window. These are the wake-up calls that happen daily. In 1 second, everything can change. ADT knows that nobody wants to feel unsafe or unprepared for an emergency, especially in their own home. That's why they offer affordable DIY security systems you can set up yourself and monitor from virtually anywhere with the ADT Plus app. They're customizable so you can set up the system that works best for you and keep an eye on it in real time. And ADT security technology is designed for peace of mind by making it easier for first responders to identify your house. They have the most company-operated monitoring centers in the industry, which means you'll get the alerts that matter for you and your home. You tackle that to-do list, ADT will help make sure your home's protected. When every second counts, count on ADT. Visit ADT.com to learn more.
Okay, we're back. Here's my question, and we might only have time for this one more, maybe two more. So can you tell us, like, in what way, and I think you were kind of getting to this, but I would love for you to expand on it. In what ways have we internalized these systems, sort of like miniature fascists in our own bodies? And second part of that question is, how do we start deconstructing that now that you've painted the picture?
Because fascism and sort of general controlling right-wing ideology, they're not just political ideology. They're structures of relating, right? So they come with a drive to create hierarchy, power over, to enforce sameness, to control unpredictability because it's scary, to punish disobedience and difference and differing. And when we're steeped in it, when it's the soup we've been swimming in, especially if our earliest attachments taught us that survival means submission, being a good girl, helping mommy with the dishes while the boys go watch TV, right? Then we can recreate those structures intimately, erotically, and emotionally. And it shows up in our nervous system first.
Okay.
Right? So for many of us who grew up with emotional outsourcing habits, we learned that love means self-erasure. I cannot exist if I'm to be loved, right? Like I was too much for my parents. I was too big. I was too Leo. I was too
spirited. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to bring it to sexuality, we learned that sexuality should be responsive, not expressive. Expressive bad gets you abandoned. Responsive good gets you loved.
Okay.
Right?
So the difference there being like, you're not the one who initiates or talks about what you like. You are the one who is just reacting to somebody who, and there's rules on that too.
Right. The only diet I ever put anyone on is the fine diet. Don't say you're fine or sure. Fine and sure. Those are the two. Do you want to have sex? Sure. That's not consent.
No.
That is not consent. That's acquiescence. No, thank you.
You say that when someone says, do you want carrots with ranch dressing for a snack?
Sure. I mean, give me the Pringles, but sure. Yeah. If carrots is what is, hit me.
Like, when you need some fiber and someone asks you that, sure.
Fine. Sure. Carrots. Do not say sure in the bedroom.
Right.
How does that feel? Fine. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That is responsive sexuality, not expressive.
Okay.
Right? You're not in the driver's seat. Remember, the lights are on, but nobody's home. You're not home.
Yeah.
You're not in it. Right? And so also, I mean, add on to this, right? So purity culture and fascism. So if you learned growing up, maybe for religious reasons, right? Or whatever cultural reasons,
adjacent in the 80s and the 90s.
Come on now, right? That desire makes you dangerous, dirty, too much, cheap, whatever.
Slutty, loose.
Slutty, yeah, all the great terms. So what do? You fawn, you perform, you appease, you shapeshift, right? You seek safety in someone else's dominance, even when it chafes. Even when it hurts, when your body says no, while your smile says yes, right? That's why I'm fine through gritted teeth. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And so in all of these ways, fascist dynamics play out somatically through the body. One body collapses, the other controls, one freezes, the other charges forward, right? Power imbalance is the through line here. One person's reality gets centered, the other gets bent to fit into it. And we see this in relationships where one partner dictates a sexual strip and the other goes along, right? Or somebody doesn't respect someone's boundaries or their needs, or one person's desire is framed as the truth.
Yeah.
And then the other person is being sensitive or like, oh my God, you're being so dramatic. Right? Oh, when touch, presence, and connection are withheld as punishment. Ooh, that is some heavy business.
Yeah.
Where there's silent treatment, cold shoulder, right? Or a demand for performance without reciprocity.
Ouch. Yikes.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and God, there was something else you were saying, right? Oh, when you were naming all those names of being called high maintenance is another one that we get called.
That's a good one.
When we ask for quote unquote too much.
Right. Exactly. And so these are all restrictive, controlling, hierarchical ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Right. And then we add like extractive ways of thinking, like capitalism, right? Which teaches us to take and take and take and take. And then reciprocity doesn't go out the window. It was never in the house.
Right.
Right. Just taking and taking is not only normalized, it's glorified. Right. I mean, like how many private jets flew to Venice for, I'm not even going to say his name's wedding. We all know, right? The schmuck destroying rainforests named after a rainforest, like extract, destroy, destroy. Your pleasure is the only thing that matters. Right. And so then that's in your relationships. When that is in the social milieu, it trickles down into relationships and into the bedroom.
Without us even noticing, I think.
Right. Right. And, so it's incumbent upon all of us to be really conscientious of the power dynamics playing out. And we get to decide, this is where values work is so completely vital. It's one of the first things I do with my clients is to really be thoughtful about what matters to you. What are your values? Right. And so how are you living?
Never done that work.
It's it changes so much to really just pause. Right.
Even if you, I mean, I love doing values work and getting specific on different areas of your life because you can have general values that are important to you, but let's get specific, like what's important about your sex life with your partner, your
Right.
even not even just sex involved, but like your
Right.
intimacy with your partner, things like that. Well, we only have a couple more minutes, but I
Yeah.
want to can I just ask you before we close up, like you've always been so open about your healing journal. And so can you tell us specifically, like what role has reclaiming your sexuality played in your nervous system healing?
Mm. Well, I think it's chicken and egg, right?
Okay.
Because for me, it was really like I was saying about reclaiming my right to be connected to my body, regardless of being connected to my partner,
Okay.
and reclaiming my right to be at home in my body, regardless of my partner. Right. So it really became more about me coming back into presence within my physical human animal and then create in that process, creating the space to liberate myself.
Yeah.
Right. So that I could reclaim a sexuality that is massively fulfilling because I'm actually present for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm actually in the room. And so it's
Yep.
not just about the moment of having sex. It's the intimacy of like thinking ahead for what your partner's coffee order is
Mm-hmm.
and like your hands gently touching. Right? It's like that soft look across a crowded train, right? It's like being present in my body to receive, not just sexually, but like today's a back-to-back day
Mm-hmm.
and my partner brought me a salad.
Yeah.
And like being able to pause and just like actually be present in my body for how tender that is and how sweet and how kind and loving and like, oh,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
I can let myself be loved now. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what a lot of it is for a lot of us in emotional outsourcing, because we're not there. We
Mm-hmm.
don't believe that we can be loved for
Yeah.
ourselves. We can be loved for what we do,
Mm-hmm.
right? The version of us that's over functioning, overdoing, over. She's, I'm sure she's great. I'm sure she's fabulous,
Mm-hmm.
but she's not our real self,
Right. It's a
right?
dimension. Mm-hmm. It's a dimension.
It's a dimension. And so it's really about stepping into like, I am lovable. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay for me to receive love. I flashed back to I run a 6-month program called Anchored, and we just started a group. And on our first coaching call last week, I invite everyone who's in the community who's watching the person getting coached to like do those little hearts
Mm-hmm.
on Zoom.
Yeah, I love those.
And the woman getting coached stopped and was like, "Wait, what are those hearts?" I was like, "That's I told you we love each other here." And she was like, "Wait, but they don't know me." And I was like, "Yeah, baby, but they love you." And she was like, wait, what? And just started crying. And it was the most beautiful thing. And she was like, how can I love you? And then
Oh,
the
her inner
chat
child.
blows up, and everyone was like,
Yeah.
we so we don't know, but we know you're great. You're in our family now. And like all this love
Yeah.
and just letting ourselves receive it from
Mm-hmm.
our big open hearts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the essential human task, right? To live our lives from our big open hearts.
Yes. I wish we had like at least 15 more minutes, but I know you and I both have back-to-back days and we need to close up. I
Rude.
just want to say a couple things based on
Yeah.
what you just said. I think that I just appreciate that last anecdote about your client and it's
Yeah.
really these small things that add up so much in terms of healing our nervous system and alchemizing all the emotions and really and grieving all of the circumstances and situations that led you here. And we could do a whole episode just on that. And just briefly, like one of the things I did, speaking of sex and stopping emotional outsourcing, before I met Dr. Fox, I went on a spree where I was like, I need to collect some data. Like, I don't even know what I like sexually. And I mean, at this age, I'm in perimenopause. Like, so I'm just going to say yes wherever I feel like it. And I had like a whole hoe phase that I gathered, and I was very upfront with
Yeah.
people, gathered all this data, which I do think is the thing that led me to meet him. And then the last thing I want to mention is I think that there's a special kind of grief that happens when you realize that you have been in a relationship with someone who really only loves the parts of you that do things for them. when they really have only, they don't have the ability to see and love and accept all the different dimensions of you. That I just wanted to say that because I've experienced that, and that there is a special, specific kind of grief. And so if anyone's experiencing that, I see you, we see you. We are going to put the link to your book in the show notes. Stop Emotional Outsourcing. That one. And the link to your website and to the next time you facilitate Anchor. Thank you so much again for being here. Everyone, thank you for listening. Remember, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye for now.
Hey, did you know there's free secret podcast episodes waiting for you that are not part of my regular podcast feed? Yes. AndreaOwen.com/free. And you just sign up. You get a link sent to you. It's very secret. It's like a secret club. We don't have a secret handshake. Don't worry about that. But it's these motivating podcast episodes that I made for you. They're under 20 minutes each. There's 3 of them. They're for wherever you are in your life. So head on over there and grab them. They range from really supporting you and seeing you where you are and being compassionate, all the way to giving you a giant kick in your ass and telling you how amazing and gorgeous and phenomenal you are. So AndreaOwen.com/free and get your hands on that free podcast feed.